Minnesota Vikings have been around since 1961. And I just want them to win a damn Super Bowl before I die. Welcome to Before I Die with Jesse and Miles on Purple Daily and Score North.
Just one, you guys. Just one before we die. What's going on? Another Monday edition of Before I Die. I'm Jesse Pierce. He's Miles Gorham. He's Ross Brendel. You guys, the Minnesota Vikings are now 10-2. Let's just get a little 10. I like that. See, this is, Ross, would you like to try? Skull?
This is really bad. Sorry.
This is really bad. Good work.
However you did that. That's my Vikings horn.
We'll work on it. People are thrilled already. We're a couple minutes in and people are loving the episode. No, Minnesota Vikings, as I said, 10-2. Almost going to be impossible for them to fall out of the playoffs at this time. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. I'm not jinxing it, but it's real.
You're good now.
Right? We're good now. You're going to clinch.
We're past the threshold.
Yeah,
I
you're
saw
fine.
greater than 99% yesterday and an 8% chance to win the Super Bowl. So let's go, kids.
Exactly. Okay. 23-22 win over Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals yesterday. But more importantly, Sam Darnold, you guys, who we've had questions about. Obviously, the Vikings signing Danny Dimes as well, which made you wonder, how is Sam Darnold going to look? But let's just take a peek at what Sam Darnold has accomplished as of late, including yesterday. For a second consecutive game, there is a game-winning drive for Sam Darnold after a rough first half. The Vikings come to life late in the third quarter, trailing 19-16. Overall, Darnold goes 21 of 31 for 235 yards and 2 TDs. He also led the Vikings in rushing yards with 22 on 4 attempts, and he had 111.6 passer rating, you guys, which ties Brett Favre from 2009 and Dante Culpepper from 2000 with 10 games of 100 and plus passer ratings in a single season. Guys, Darnold's last 3 games, it's 3 wins. 811 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, including 1 rushing, and 0 interceptions. Let's just round of applause for Sammy, Slingin Sam. How are we feeling, Miles, about Sam Darnold? I just listed off all the reasons to feel good. If anything, the only concern is, are you going to be able to afford him after this year?
No, but we're springing into a Sam December, right? So, that's huge. We called him Kirk, Novembers, Octobers. We get Sammy December. I'm good with that, right? Sammy January.
Yeah.
No, I'm feeling good. Like you said, it was kind of a slugfest to start the game. First half was just rough. We'll talk about him, but Aaron Jones, my guy, we'll talk about him.
High and tight.
But no, Darnold's taking care of the ball, and I think that's the one thing over the last, we had that stretch there where we were like, oh man, Darnold's just really making huge critical mistakes in key parts of games and turning the ball over, and we have not seen that the last few weeks. Mm-hmm. He's taking sacks at the right time at times, when you're like, all right, dude, don't do anything dumb, don't try to make something that isn't actually there, try to create something that's not there, and he's making really tight window throws on time. He's layering the ball. Lots of, like I said, the slugfest in the first half, but I think that was both teams. Overall, both teams were kind of just do we really want to be here type of, first half? And then that second half kicked, and it was rolling. Once they started going, end of the third quarter, into the fourth quarter, it was okay, let's get that offense rolling. And Darnold just started dealing. And it was great. It was so great to see. He almost had 3 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
Aaron Jones, I love Aaron Jones. Again, we will get to him. And he's one of the best receiving backs in the game, right through his hands. That was a dime, it's just Darnold's just balling. That dude is he is tunnel vision right now, right? When he's out there throwing the football, he's seeing everything. He's seeing all the possibilities, all the options. He's just dialed in, and I love it. I think there was one play to the touchdown to Johnny Munt. I think someone pointed out on Twitter that they gave him a little pat. Cam Robinson gave him a little pat on the butt on his way in the middle of the play to throw the touchdown to Johnny Munt. So all things rolling for the Vikings offense coming out of yesterday at the end of the game.
We need to bring in butt pats for more occasions, right? Just a little good job. Just saying. Just throwing it out there a little without sexual
very common in
harassment.
sports.
They do it in baseball even when they pull a pitcher who gave up 8 runs in 2 1/3. So perhaps they can mix it in.
They don't do it in
football.
hockey though. It's usually a knock to the helmet, a little
Or is it a stick tap?
Or stick tap. Stick taps are
Stick
great.
tap, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Important to note for Sam Darnold, too, the defenses that he's done this against the last 3 weeks in that stretch that you mentioned. The Titans' record might not be very good, but their defense is pretty solid. We know the Bears' defense is pretty solid. Yeah, except for yesterday. We know the Bears' defense is pretty solid. We saw them slow the Lions down in the second half on Thanksgiving. And that Cardinals defense the last few weeks and has played very well. And Budda Baker, by the way, is a great player. Glad the Vikings finally figured out how to account for him, at least late in the second half. So good stuff from Sam Darnold against three pretty good teams, and he looks closer to the Sam Darnold we saw the first 5 weeks of the season than maybe the one we saw in that rough stretch of a couple losses and bad performance in Jacksonville. So I think good things on this Monday morning if you're a Slingin' Sam Darnold fan.
Some consistency for Sam Darnold. And as I mentioned, it certainly skyrocketed his value as a free agent after this year. So good for him either way. You talk about defense, Ross. Minnesota Vikings defense not looking too shabby either. So much better with Blake Cashman, which we all knew. Another 9 tackles. He was all over the place. And then defense obviously showing up when they needed to most. Grenard with the big sack. Interceptions from Byron Murphy. Shaq Griffin. Defense. It's always, I wouldn't say we've ever been fully concerned with it, right? Like there's not been any alarms going off throughout the course of the season. There's been questions. There's certainly been questions. But again, yesterday just reiterated that the Minnesota Vikings defense, the real deal, Mills.
Yeah, I mean, I'll stay positive for part of this because there are some things that I was worried about that they did end up fixing in the second half a little bit more to a degree. But overall, like the defense did well, especially toward the end of the game. 2 turnovers in huge situations when the Vikings were trying to come back to win the game, or to seal it with Shaq Griffin's interception. Those are obviously huge. My only concerns are in the first half they let Kyler Murray run all over the field. Didn't really seem to have a spy for him. They played man coverage a lot, which against a guy like Kyler Murray, that's when he's going to take off. If all of your DBs turn their backs to the quarterback, he's just going to take off, and that's what he did. And he had a lot of chunk plays on the ground because of it. And so that's where I struggled. I was like, okay, are they going to adjust this? You can't just play man coverage and let him run roughshod up and down the field. And they adjusted that in the second half. But then the next concern came where if any of your top 3 cornerbacks gets hurt, you're kind of in trouble. And that happened yesterday. Stephon Gilmore goes down with a hamstring injury. Fabian Moreau, bless his heart, came in, did his best. There were some good snaps. There were some really bad snaps, right? But a guy that hasn't played at all this season, I know he's a vet, which is a positive, but hasn't played all season. They've only played the same 3-4 guys all year, mainly 3, because Metellus has kind of been your 4th inside corner, so really only 3 corners all season. So nobody's really gotten any run. So Fabian Moreau's coming in rusty, having to guard a whole bunch of players. Marvin Harrison Jr. just took him to task. So that's the concern moving forward. But I think overall, they were able to quell some of that. They were able to some of the big plays that did happen. They somehow came away and still were able to make some key plays in key situations. So that's the blessing there.
I was just trying to be positive, guys. All right, I'm just trying to bring positivity this Monday morning, and you guys are like, no, realism, pop. Right.
I was trying to spin it.
You didn't.
But Fabian,
right.
what he supposed to do?
Well, right. I think too some of this, Miles, we'll see how the week goes on, just what the injury report looks like and who's available next Sunday and who isn't. I thought for as bad as Fabian Moreau looked on a few plays, even I thought on the Marvin Harrison touchdown catch, his coverage was pretty good. Just nice ball placement, nice catch, and I actually thought he had a chance to knock that ball away. So I think there was some good there too, but I think I want to see what these injuries look like as the week goes on and maybe who is available to take on Captain Kirk and who isn't available. But again, we talk about this every week, guys. I think it's a really good sign when we can nitpick a 10-2 football team. I mean, I still have reservations about what they can and cannot do in the playoffs, but the beauty is they're now going to get that opportunity, and it truly is a week-by-week sport. So who knows when they actually get there, what they'll look like, and what they're able to do. But for now, I mean, 10-2 is fun, and a chance to get to 11-2 on Sunday.
I think the only big thing, though, is the fact that we understood that, margin for error on defense was razor thin, especially with injuries.
Yeah.
If you lose a cornerback, that's tough. We saw it yesterday. Safety is really the only position they're deep at. Maybe linebacker a little bit, but with Ivan Pace being out, I think they're okay at linebacker, especially as long as Blake Cashman's playing. Jalen Redmond on the interior D-line. Let's get that dude some more snaps. Number 61 was rolling yesterday. Made some huge, two big tackles for losses yesterday, which were big. So it's nice to see some of that. We love to use these words in football. I don't know why, but penetration, right? On the against the offensive line from the defensive line. So nice to see that from him. But yes, I think that was my only concern moving forward is like, can they stay healthy and can Gilmore not be out long term? That's
any truth to the rumors, Jesse and Miles, that the Vikings worked out Xavier Rhodes after the game? They were so impressed by how he blew that Gallahorn, thought the athleticism looked great. Maybe Rhodes are still closed about 8 years after their prime and his career is over. Any truth to those rumors?
Oh, I wish.
Yeah. Spin him. Why not?
Can you imagine a few years out of the league, he just shows up on Sunday?
I mean, it kind of felt like Stephon Gilmore did that this year. I know he didn't.
Yeah.
I know he played last year, but it kind of felt like he just walked off the street and started week 1 and hasn't looked back.
There you go. We love it.
Moreau probably felt the same way.
Yes.
Wait, I need to go in there?
Wait, I'm not. I'm supposed to play special teams. That's my job. The special teams. I'm not supposed to do anything else.
Cheddar Rice Crisps, FYI, in case you guys were wondering what that noise was. The kids apparently didn't have enough time off of school last week that they get Monday off today, too. So that's fun for... Oh,
Must be rough.
Oh, that's rough.
Super great. I love it.
I kicked my kids out. Get out of here. Go.
Oh, I wish.
My kids had Wednesday off, though. I don't know if your kids had Wednesday off.
Oh, they had Wednesday off, too. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday.
Do they get less time during holiday break? Sorry.
No, probably not. Probably not.
Can I point out that I'm loving Miles' victory red today and also holiday-themed red? Good work, Miles.
Thank you.
It's true. I did
it on
nice.
purpose, Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
I mean, Jesse, not all of us. Hey, we're talking about looking nice. Jesse, this weekend, go check out Twitter, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Do you know how
Appreciate
hard
it.
some
My
of us have to
superpower.
work, Jesse, just to look adequate and
I'm
presentable?
saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not fair.
Trust me, we have our down days. Jessie has her down days too. Which there's sweatpants on underneath here as well. Down days. Aaron Jones, guys, we got to talk about it. We got to say it.
Good segue.
Thank you. Thanks. He has tied his career high for fumbles lost this season, which happened in 2022 as well. 5 fumbles, 3 lost. What are we gonna do? I mean, Aaron Jones was just money. Guy was balling at the beginning of the year. And granted, the Minnesota Vikings in general as a whole were balling. But where's our concern level at with Aaron Jones and his lack of protection on the ball, Miles?
Well, and especially coming off of last week. Like, he had a strong game on the ground. Obviously, he did fumble. We know that. But you thought, maybe that's like a huge emphasis now, right? Like, I fumbled, and I had a couple early in the season. No more. I was like confident this isn't going to happen because like it's one of those things when you start getting into it and you lose a fumble like he did last week, it just becomes an emphasis for yourself. But now it's probably to a point where he's overthinking about it, like thinking too much about it, and that in itself is a problem, right? And so it's like, okay, protection, but protection to the point where like the first fumble yesterday was bad, right? The first one especially was really bad. The second one, if he catches that football clean, I don't think he's fumbling that football, but he didn't catch the ball clean, and by the time he catches it, the defender's able to get there and punch it out right away. And now teams have an emphasis on that, right? When you put it out on tape that you'll fumble the football, now that's where guys like we saw it yesterday. Who was it? Who was the guy that knocked Sean Murphy Bunting twice? I think he did. He had the 2 forced fumbles on Aaron Jones. He knocked those like his whole thing was looking at it and swinging at it, right? And that's what you're taught as a defender. If the guy's up and you have a chance to go after the ball, go after it. And if you put that on tape that you've been fumbling and you're having fumbling issues, guys are gonna do that more often. And so that's in itself, you don't want it to become a head case. And you could tell during the game yesterday it impacted Aaron Jones mentally. Whether it was that drop in the end zone toward the end of the game, I know he came back and scored the game-winning touchdown. Bless him. I'm really happy for him, and I love the embrace that we saw from Kevin O'Connell after. I think it was right after the touchdown where he hugged Aaron Jones just to kind of like tell him, we still believe in you. All the like rah like good things, we love you, blah, that type of stuff,
right,
like that you don't want to overlook. But at the end of the day, they're going to go into the meetings this week and be like, Aaron, like we need you, and this can't be a problem moving forward. And if it is, you're just going to see less and less tick, and that's bad for us because he is our best running back. So
yeah, I think they're going to continue to ride him until it becomes even more of an issue. And I would say it's a pretty big issue now. But to your point, Miles, Yeah, they have to. There's no what he does and what he brings to the offense can't be replaced by Cam Akers and Ty Chandler. Now, Cam Akers has been...
They've tried. It didn't work. It's not working like it can't be.
Yeah, it didn't work yesterday. He has been pretty solid, but he's only going to get limited carries. So they're going to keep going back to him, and you just hope that he figures it out. This is a guy that was not a ridiculous fumbler early on in his career, but it became a bit of an issue in Green Bay. And now, so far this year, the Vikings have seen it as well. But they're going to have to keep riding him. I hate to repeat myself, but there are no other options. They need him for a team that is not overly great in the run game. You need that tough running to try and get extra yards when there aren't a bunch of holes there, and what he can do in the passing game. So
real quick,
I guess you just hope that he fixes it. And to your point, Miles, some of it might even be mental at this point.
Oh, it definitely is. I was just looking up real quick, like his a total attempts for a season, and his most attempts in his career in 1 year is 2019. He had 236. He's got 184 right now, and they have 5 games to go. So if you pace that out to maybe 15, average maybe 15 rushes a game, he's looking at, a potentially even probably breaking that 236 number. And that itself, I think, is part of the problem, is they don't have – Cam Akers can spell him on a drive or two, and I think Cam Akers has done a good job. But Akers, it's not like a true 1-2 punch. It's more of you have your one, and then you have kind of like a backup two, and a guy that's probably more of a third running back, but who has to play as your second. Whereas, when he was in Green Bay, he had him and A.J. Dillon, him and Jamal Williams, a true RB1B to spell, so he didn't have to, carry the load. But he's the guy that has to carry the load. And I'm not giving him an excuse for fumbling, but you can tell that maybe it's wearing on him a little bit that he does have to carry the ball as much as he really does. And then you factor in the pass game, too. So there is more total touches he's having for the first time in his career where it's this much. And again, not an excuse. Stop fumbling the football, point blank, period. But I do think there is something to that he does have to carry the ball, and that's not really been his MO throughout his career.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fair. But you're going to keep calling on him. You're going to keep going to him because he's Aaron Jones. Similarly, you know what? There's only one person I'm going to call in the state, and I'm going to keep calling on him when there is an injury or something of relation. Ross, do you know who that might be?
I think your segues are back. You struggled a little bit heading into the Thanksgiving holiday, but you've been much better today. Well done, Jesse. Yes, that would be a quick shout out to the exclusive personal injury law firm of Purple Daily. It's our friends at Nicolay Law. They know that when you or a loved one gets injured, ordinary life can come to a stop and things can get complicated. We don't want that. That's where our friends at Nicolay Law come in. They're just your normal everyday folks. They're just like us. Nicolay Law. They're just like us. Normal, everyday folks who are here to make sure you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. If you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers. You need to get Nicolay. Start your path to winning at nicolaylaw.com. That is nicolaylaw.com. Or give them a call at 855-NICOLAY. That is 855-NICOLAY. NICOLET.
Comments from YouTube.
I lined up a few for you guys from yesterday's vent line. We'll start with Razorbacks 1. I believe the Razorbacks lost to Missouri over the weekend. I believe they did. I'm not quite positive on that.
I don't know if you guys saw, but Iowa State's in the Big 12 championship, so I just want
you don't get to gloat. You don't get to gloat. No. They were dead to you for a month.
God.
And I told you they still had a chance to be in the Big 12, and you scoffed at me.
And if they lose the Big 12 championship, then they'll be dead to you again. So
they're dead to me. It's basketball season then. Officially basketball season. I only follow winners, guys. All right, I'm very
Gophers beat Wisconsin. I have to shout that out. I haven't followed as close as I used to. But the Gophers beat Wisconsin.
Not good this year, though, right?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't. It does a little bit. It does.
It doesn't, because they finally beat their. Okay. Go ahead, Ross.
When you lost to Jesse, when you lost to Wisconsin for 14 years in a row, which is technically 3.5 presidential administrations, you will take any wins you can get.
I mean, you're right. You're right. Hands down, the best game of Flip Cup I ever had was years ago during a Minnesota-Wisconsin football tailgate. So I'm just saying, I love the rivalry. I get it, but yeah.
PJ Fleck may struggle with Iowa. He's 1-7, but he is 4-4 against the Badgers. So hat tip there. From Razorbacks 1, you know who else is winning close games despite errors and mistakes? the Kansas City friggin' Chiefs. A win is a win. We'll take it and move on. Skull. My question. I kind of even laugh at this question, but I'm going to ask it anyways.
Uh-oh.
Are the Kansas City Chiefs a fair comparison for the Minnesota Vikings? I'll start with Miles and his Kansas City mild red on this Monday, especially after he greeted the question with a, oh boy.
Well, because I knew you were coming with something like some comparison to could potentially be a three-peat champion, right? Like
some may say that Sam Darnold looks an awful lot like Patrick Mahomes. I don't know who
Literally
those some are, but
that.
some may say it.
Some may say that. No, I think the way they're winning, they're finding ways to win games, close games, and through adversity, through mistakes. I think that's the comparison. I don't think they're like. I wouldn't put them up against Kansas City in the playoff odds and be like, they're neck and neck. but I think in terms of how they've won regular season football games so far this year, I don't like hate the comparison, but no, we're not the Kansas City Chiefs light or anything like that. That's kind of what I got to say. But we're good. We're 10-2.
Somewhere
Jesse?
in here, there's a Taylor Swift reference, but I can't figure it out for the life of me right now. And also, I just haven't watched that many because Travis Kelce's dead to me. He's almost single-handedly killed my fantasy football team. I'm so mad at selecting him as high as I did and for how poor he's been doing. So Travis Kelce, for that reason, I'm just not in on the Chiefs. No, but I get where we're going with it. And yes, but no. As Miles said, the Minnesota Vikings are not the Kansas City Chiefs in many respects.
I think a good way to get your question read, if you have something in the vent line comments or in the Before I Die comments and you use frigging, Frigging, that's a good way to get your comment read. Here's comment number 2. It'll be the last one for today from Hank Hack Bushchiv. I'm going to be at my first Vikings game next week. I'm coming all the way from Fort Worth, Texas, and I can't wait. Jesse, I'll start with you. Advice for anybody attending their first Minnesota Vikings game besides taking out a small personal loan. That one's out.
I mean,
advice
be prepared
for
to
attending
open the
a
wallet.
Vikings game.
But if you're making the trip, you already know that, right? You're making it a full event. Hopefully you're turning it into an entire weekend because why not? It's kind of fun to check out some of the holiday stuff going around the Twin Cities this weekend. No, just have fun. Get there early. Go check out a couple tailgate spots, right? You might as well. It's football. Have some fun. I love when people travel. I met some people that came down from Winnipeg yesterday to check out the PWHL Frost game, and I just love hearing how the fandom transpires. I'm assuming, don't know this, maybe Hack is a transplant living in Texas, but to come to Minnesota, check out some tailgates, get some good food, and have fun. Bring home a Vikings victory with you to Texas. That's what I got. I've only been to one Vikings game too, so I don't have too many specifics. I'm sorry. That's truth be told. I've only seen one, so Miles, maybe you have better insights.
It's all good.
No, I think Jesse said it all. I've only been to one game at US Bank Stadium.
Okay.
But I would agree. Hit up some tailgates. I think Vikings Twitter is one of those. Like if you ask some people on Twitter, like, hey, where are the best places to go? There's going to be people that really know that area really well, especially the tailgate lots. So I would definitely say hit up a tailgate, get there early, and just embrace it. Dress warm. You're from Texas. If you're from Texas officially, dress warm. Don't.
It's a little chillier.
It'll be chillier for you, especially you, from being from Texas and Fort Worth. It's going to be cold here. No matter what the temperature is, it's going to be cold. So dress warm, but have a couple. If you partake, have a few, and it'll help warm you up.
My advice for anybody attending any sporting event, if at all possible, avoid a parking ramp because you will spend half the time you spent in the game, you will spend in the dang parking ramp trying to leave. So my advice is to do what I do. The Vikings game is in Minneapolis. Park in Roseville and walk to the stadium. That's the best way to do it. Park miles away. I go to Twins games and I'm basically parking in St. Paul, and I'm not joking about that. It's like a mile and a half walk.
Do you take the light rail in or anything?
No, I won't. I won't do that either. I literally park forever and away. I
just walk.
I have a couple rules. I hate parking
now,
ramps and I hate paying for parking.
That's fair, but it's cold now. So
yeah.
take a
But
lift.
by the way, last time I checked, the Vikings play inside, so you don't have to spend a ton of time outside unless you.
Yeah, but
want
if you're
to.
walking from where you're saying to walk,
no sympathy. This guy sat outside in Madison for 4.5 hours on Friday afternoon, and it was 20 degrees, and I survived.
Yeah, but they're from
I think
Texas.
the Gophers won too, by the way, right?
Take a lift. Just take a lift or an Uber, then have some real fun. Then you don't
No,
have to
but
worry about any of it.
in all honesty, if you've never been, have fun. That's the way.
Yeah,
Just
100%.
Have fun, and to
and
Jesse's
the skull
point,
chants, it's so good in there. Like, it's a great home atmosphere.
Are they? No, this isn't the game where they're doing the whiteout. That's the. Is this one? I can't remember. There's a whiteout game coming, right?
Hilariously enough, the Winnipeg Jets, which again, I'm sorry to bring in hockey, but this is what I know. This is my season, my busy season. The Winnipeg Jets were very upset that the Minnesota Wild hosted a whiteout on Saturday because the Jets claim that is theirs. And I was like, but the Minnesota Vikings have done a whiteout for years. Like, can you trademark something like that? Like, can you officially
No.
This is a color out, right? Like Penn State does their whiteouts, I think, in college football. Like, it's not. So I got to the bottom of it. The Jets fans are just extra loved by it because right before they moved to Atlanta, they wore their home whites, and everybody didn't really plan it, but they all just ended up wearing white. So to them, it was a very romantical thing to have a whiteout. Is like, okay, this is our team. They're leaving, but we're all going to wear white. So that's why they feel this. But yeah, I don't think you can trademark
The
those
whiteout.
things.
The whiteout is on the 16th, the Monday night game against the Bears. So not this week. So.
Here's my non sequitur of the day. I don't think Miles would have watched, so this question might be for Jesse, but I think the North Stars, a.k.a. Wild, played that night. Did you watch the Gopher hockey game on Saturday night, Jesse?
No, because the Wild played that night.
Yeah, they had an inadvertent whiteout where you could barely watch on TV because the ice was so white, like with the camera and the lighting. Like, you honestly had to try and... The first half of the game, you had to watch it with sunglasses. It was so bright.
Yeah,
It
that ice has ruined a lot of pictures of mine at the rink. Let me tell you. So I feel that a lot of photos not making the gram because of that bright ice.
Hockey and white.
Yeah.
Before we get to the...
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Wow.
I
don't
couldn't
know
help
what you mean.
myself.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Before we get to the Before I Dies, don't forget your home for St. Thomas Athletics in the Twin Cities is 1500 ESPN and 1500ESPN.com. St. Thomas Hockey, St. Thomas Basketball can all be heard on 1500 ESPN and 1500ESPN.com in the Twin Cities. I will actually be at the mighty tilt between St. Thomas and Chicago State tonight at 7 o'clock. So if you're at that game, look for me. I will proudly be wearing... No, I was going to say maroon and gold, but I got to get over that. I mean, at this point, the Gophers pretty much beat Wisconsin all the time. I don't even know what I'm gloating about when it comes to football. I did hear they may rename Camp Randall to Huntington Bank Stadium East. I'll have to look that up to see if that's what they're if that's true.
They did at the Wild game on Saturday. They did play jump around while showing the Gophers score at DX. So.
I love petty.
Love a troll job.
And we had some petty going on this weekend in college football, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm all for the petty.
I'm all for.
Did you guys
put your flag in? Do it. Go for it. Have some fun. It's
that's
so
what rivalries are for too. The Gophers should have planted a flag too, man.
God.
Did you guys see the one shining moment video where it was just 48 seconds of players fighting at midfield highlights from over the weekend?
So much.
No,
so much.
I didn't see it, but it's
Here's the
great.
thing, I don't necessarily condone the fighting because I think it's kind of stupid, but also at the same time, if you lose the game, you know how you get back at somebody for planting the flag on their field? The next time you go beat them in their field, do the same thing.
Yeah.
We don't need to be fighting to the point police are using pepper spray to break up college football players.
That to me was a little too far. Say what you will, pepper spraying these students the players is not cool.
I would agree with that. I think it de-escalated the situation, but I also feel like it was a that overreach.
Of course, it de-escalated the situation.
Yes. It hurts. I can't imagine that feels great. Can't imagine that feels great.
But yeah. I'm with you, Ross. But I love petty. Give me the petty.
All right, let's do this, kids.
Time now for the Before I Die crew to give us their Before I Dies.
Let's go ahead and pick on Ross first this week, eh? Ross, what you got?
Okay, great. We'll stick with football. And please note that I have a tie for my favorite teams in town. I love every team in town, but if you really pushed me, the Vikings are going to be number one, right? There's a reason why I do this show. However, I will say this about the NFL, and I know I'm going to get blowback on this. I don't need the NFL every day of my life. I do not need it. I do not need a dumb Black Friday game that most people can't watch. Black Friday is a college football day. Stay in your own dang lane, NFL. You don't get to play Saturday games until college football goes into bowl season. I also don't need a Thursday game every night of the week. Thursday night games are every week. Thursday night games are not until Thanksgiving or later. And play them a few times. I don't need to watch the Browns and Ravens in week 3 on Thursday night. I just don't. It's not that important to me, and I don't think it's that important to most people. So my before I die, the NFL will get back to staying in their lane, and they will largely play games on Sundays, one game on Monday night, occasionally on Saturday, and limited Thursday games. I do not need it every day of my life. No. The beauty of football is how little you have it. You are ruining it by playing it every bleeping day.
It's hard to keep up with the schedule then, too. And like you said, the games that they're putting on Thursday nights in particular are usually atrocious. Like, nobody needs to watch that. Like, I don't need to
They're
see
coming
those.
off of 3 days of rest.
Yeah.
Turn around and play football.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
And they wonder why those games are often terrible. It's like, well, really, the guys, they just beat the hell out of each other 3.5 days prior. And you're asking, and then the one that we talked about, the Vikings, I don't like using the term schedule loss in the NFL, but that's pretty darn close to a schedule loss. You lose on a Sunday, then you fly across the country. If you're going to do it, keep teams in their time zone.
Yeah, that's
okay.
fair too.
I'm done. I'm getting too worked up about this.
One pushback. You're never going to get that before you die because the more money they can make.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
No, I know. I know. I know.
I was good. I'm good with the Sunday, Monday, Thursday. I don't like Thursday games, but if you're going to do it 3 days a week, like, I understand it. Because then you get a break between the Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Like, give me the breaks too, because then you get to appreciate the sport when it's, like, to your point, Ross. Like, if I have to watch it every single day, I don't appreciate it as much.
I'm also now going to hop back in here. I don't need the NFL on Christmas Day. I also do not need the NBA on Christmas Day, and I've literally said that my entire life. Can we not have one? Can we not have one day for family and friends versus let's watch awful LeBron James at 42 years old take on a
But
bad
they don't.
New York
Doesn't
Knicks
basketball
team.
particularly love their Christmas Day? It's like their Thanksgiving
That's
for
like
football,
their thing.
right?
They're mad at the Vikings. They're not the Vikings. They're mad at the NFL for trying to steal their
stealing
thunder.
their day.
No, they do, and to their credit, it's worked. I just personally, I don't need it. And you're right, I am Scrooge. I totally admit it on this.
Hockey we play on Valentine's Day. That's our big thing, and New Year's Day. Yeah.
Well, it is the
right.
sport of brotherly love.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, before, my thing with it is, I then don't have to talk to people. I can just watch sports on, and so then I don't have to talk at outings and things, and that's something I very much appreciate. But hey,
I think, okay, now I'm back. Then I promise you I'm turning my mic off for the rest of the show. My deal with the NBA is they act like these games are special, and they're not, because typically the team that you're playing, you play them at least 2 times, sometimes 4 times a year. There's nothing special about an NBA matchup. It would be special if for some reason you only played a team 1 time a year. I think that's always been my complaint. They act like it's the biggest game of the year. No, it's not. They're going to play each other 2 more times with probably far further playoff implications.
It's called marketing, though. Like, you're going to market your best players against your other best, like the best players against each other, and you get to watch it. I don't know. I hear you.
You've also now devalued it, though, Miles, when a third of the league is playing on Christmas Day.
To that point, now let's toss another hat in the ring, shall we? You got to stop so many.
I'm done for the show. Promise. Done.
You got to stop putting so many outdoor hockey games on big stages too. I was fine with the Winter Classic, 1 a year. It was special. Now you've got Stadium Series. You've got all of this out. College is getting involved in it too. You're losing the romanticism, and as Ross had said, like it's supposed to be just a one-off thing, and now it's too much. So that's been bothering me for quite some time as well. If you're the Chicago Blackhawks, you're playing in an outdoor game every freaking year anyway. So what's it matter? But that's Jesse's grind my gears. Do you have a before I die, Miles?
I agree with that, though. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think it's everything's just getting watered down. My before I die is kind of what we said before we started the segment, like the planting the flag and the pettiness. I need more of that back in my rivalries. Like, I love the pettiness. Like, I'm with you on, like, I don't need the huge fights and the brawls. Like, I think some of that gets overblown. Now, a little bit of, like, scuffle here and there, I'm good with it. Like, I get the bad blood. Like, there's supposed to be bad blood. Like, there's supposed to be a rivalry. You're supposed to, like, if we beat you in your home field, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna talk to you about it. I was gonna swear, but like I'm gonna smack talk. Like I'm gonna do those things, right? Like I'm gonna get like that's what I'm supposed to be able to do. And if you beat me, you do it back. Like that's what a rivalry's for. Like talk that smack. We as Vikings fans do it to the Packers all the time, and vice versa when we beat each other, right? Like now players do it too. Like and in college especially, it's even more like ingrained because it's just like it's been like 100 years of rivalries and all that stuff. Like that's what for me. I'm just like, just give me more of it. Like give me more of the petty. Give me more. Like I love when coaches talk smack. I love like all of it. So
Yeah.
I just want a little bit more of it. I'm okay with. I don't need the pepper spraying of the players. I don't need none of that. I need but some of the other stuff I'm good with. Like plant that flag.
Yeah, I like it. Before I die, I will get a battery for my automatic car starter. That's what I'm going to go with, and I'll probably do that today. It's been like a year. It's been telling me it's low, and I still haven't done it because I'm lazy. But before I die, I will do it, especially as winter hits. That's it. That's a simple one because we've gone on and on about everything else. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Before I Die. As always, check out all of our other Purple Daily content as well as our Score North content. We're full blown into Wolves, Wild, the Frost, as you will, as well, and other sports. Minnesota Vikings keep rolling. Skol Vikes.
Go.
On behalf, no, there he goes. And a pen.
Ross was working so hard not to talk to.